I wasn't on the program. No one said my name, not in the printed schedule, not in the tribute slideshow, not even in the list of grandchildren they thanked for attending. But I came anyway. My name is Isabelle Tran. I'm 30 years old, and I teach 8th grade STEM at a public school near the New Mexico-Arizona border. I don't wear a PhD pin. I don't have TED Talks. I don't serve on any Ivy League boards. I'm just the teacher. That's what they call me when they bother to mention me at all. This memorial was for my grandmother, Dr. Lillian Wu, former university chancellor, architect of the National Equity in Education Act, advisor to 3 secretaries of education. She was a force of nature, and the only person in our family who ever looked at me like I wasn't wasting my life. That's why I came, not to be seen, but to honor the woman who once told me, "Don't let the world shrink you to fit their frame." So I didn't wear black silk or stilettos. No name tag, no fancy seating arrangement, just slacks, a soft gray sweater, and a seat by the water dispenser, in the very last row, where I've always been in this family, unnoticed, uncelebrated, out of the frame, but still present. The speeches began exactly as I expected. My Aunt Doctor, Madeline Wu Santiago, stepped up to the podium like she was accepting an award. She opened with tears, closed with titles. My daughter, Sarah, just published her 2nd book on constitutional law. My son, James, was invited to Davos this year. Applause, nods of approval, tight smiles from people who all wore the same shade of ambition. And of course, she added with a theatrical pause, our dear Isabelle is still teaching. Somewhere out west, right, with kids. The room chuckled, not meanly. No one sneered. No one said it to hurt. That's what made it worse. It wasn't sharp. It was dismissive, the kind of line you drop to check a box. Mention the stray sheep, then move on to the real prodigies. They didn't even look at me when they said it, because they weren't really talking to me. They were talking over me, through me, like I wasn't in the room, like I never had been. The setup, the red envelope, the missing name, and the door no one expected to open. It was supposed to end with a slideshow. Instead, it ended with a box. A mahogany case, polished, heavy, rolled to the front of the room by 2 staff members. My uncle tapped the mic. We'd like to close this memorial with one final gift, he said. A legacy letter from Dr. Wu herself. Murmurs, shifting chairs, heads tilted. He opened the case with slow ceremony, like unveiling treasure. Inside, papers, folders, a few first edition books, and one envelope, sealed in red wax. It wasn't addressed to anyone, but taped to the outside was a printed note. To be delivered by hand by the Chancellor. Whispers rippled across the pews. The Chancellor. Someone leaned toward my cousin. She mean Chancellor of what? No one in the family was a chancellor. No one at the university board had RSVP'd. No one knew anything about this. And then, the side door creaked open. Not the front entrance, not the aisle. A discreet hallway exit, barely lit, almost invisible, until the woman stepped through. When the room turned and the name they never said became the only one that mattered. She didn't walk in. She arrived, not rushed, not timid, deliberate, dignified, every step echoed like punctuation. Black suit, silver pin, low heels, a folder tucked under one arm, and a face I knew because it was on the cover of every education magazine I'd ever subscribed to. Dr. Gabriella Moore, the current Chancellor of the National Council on Public Education, one of the most powerful voices in American academia. People whispered her name like it was a rumor, but she was real, and she was here. Not for the family, not for the donors, not for the ceremony. She didn't glance at the podium, didn't nod at the front row, didn't pause for approval. She scanned the room until her eyes found mine, and then she walked straight past the Ivy League row, past the published authors section, past the cousins and council members and executive chairs, straight to me, in the back row, still holding my coat, still wondering if I should have come. She stopped in front of me, looked me in the eye, and said, "Dr. Tran, it's time." The room froze. I heard someone gasp. A water bottle rolled across the floor. Every neck turned. Every breath held. She reached into her folder, pulled out the red envelope, held it between us, and said, clear enough for the whole room to hear, "You were her choice, her legacy, her torchbearer, the one who still believes education is a fire, not a throne." She handed me the envelope with both hands, like it was something sacred, and I stood, not because I needed the attention, but because I had been called. Not back row, not teacher girl, not just Isabelle, but Dr. Tran. And no one in that room dared say otherwise. When the letter spoke, and the room saw her for the first time, I held the envelope with both hands. Thick paper, heavy wax, my name in my grandmother's handwriting. Not Izzy, not Belle. Dr. Isabelle Tran. I looked up, unsure if I should open it right there, but Chancellor Moore gave a subtle nod. "Go ahead," she said. "They should hear it too." So I broke the seal, unfolded the pages, and read, to my firefly, "They never understood why I called you that, but I did, because even in the darkest systems, you refused to stop glowing. You chose to teach, not to impress. You chose to serve, not to climb. And because of that, I trust you, not to preserve my name, but to carry the mission forward. The foundation is yours. Use it to light the corners no one talks about. Don't build monuments. Build bridges." The room was silent. Even the projector had gone dim. Chancellor Moore turned to face the crowd. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "Ms. Tran's after-school STEM initiative reached 47% more female-identifying students in underserved districts than any federally funded pilot we've run in the last decade. She's written curriculum now in review by 3 states. She turned a janitor closet into a maker space, without a grant, without applause, without needing her family's approval. Aunt Madeline opened her mouth, then closed it again. Even my mother, always composed, always corrective, blinked like someone had turned on a light too bright. I didn't move. I didn't bow. I didn't say thank you, because this wasn't a reward. It was a recognition. The difference is everything. Epilogue, you never asked. And that was enough. People didn't rush out like they usually do after speeches. They lingered, shuffling slowly, whispering now not about her but about me. Some looked down, embarrassed, others curious. One by one they came. My cousin, the one who once joked I taught ABCs and glue sticks, approached with a forced smile. "You never said you were doing all that." I looked at her, calm, clear. "You never asked." My aunt, the master of polished charity galas, offered a handshake she used on donors. "It's wonderful, really. Inspiring. I had no idea you were that involved." I nodded once, didn't smile, didn't explain. Then came my mother. She didn't speak at first. Her eyes searched my face, like looking for the version of me she could understand. She finally whispered, "Why didn't you ever tell us?" I held her gaze, not cold, not angry, just done waiting. "Because you weren't listening," I said softly. "You decided who I was, and there wasn't room for who I became." She blinked, not offended, just stunned, and maybe for the first time silent. I didn't need an apology. I didn't come for one, because this moment was never about them. It was about finally standing, without needing a stage, about showing up, without needing permission, about being seen, not because I fought to be, but because the truth walked in, wearing a chancellor's pin, and called my name. Not somewhere out west, not the one with the kids, but Dr. Isabelle Tran. If you've ever been called just something, just a teacher, just a girl, just the quiet one, let me tell you something. You don't need a spotlight to hold the truth. You don't need applause to lead. And you don't need their permission to exist. Because one day, the room will turn, the silence will break, and someone with power will say your name, clearly, respectfully, because the work you've done already speaks for itself. And when that day comes, you won't need to prove anything. You'll just need to rise. If you've ever been underestimated, comment, "I'm not just anything, I'm already enough." And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one.